unfortunately, still in India, in the small cities, you get a power cut. So I had a power cut few minutes just before the session. So uh,
Okay, then you are waiting for something from me, or you want to start?
no, I'm just setting up the
Okay, okay,
document and questions with you.
okay.
Yes. So hope I am audible clearly to everyone.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
Do you want to
So
start with your introduction?
yeah, I will start with my intro, and then I have some set of questions shared by Varuchi and maybe some thoughts. So I will try to cover those, and then maybe I would prefer more to be interactive sessions. So focus more on what particular question other people have. But yeah, I will give you maybe 15-20 minutes, initial 15-20 minutes on my intro, and also some of the context which Varuchi has said to me before the call. So, yeah, I'm Gagan. I'm from IIT Bombay, graduated in 2004, started my own venture in 2005. After 1 year of job, I ran that at tech company for 10 years. Interestingly, when I started, there was no concept of startup or entrepreneurship. Like it was not popular. So it was, in fact, it was more like doing a business rather than entrepreneurship. There was no concept of venture funding or investing or raising money. You have to bootstrap basically. Uh, but I was fortunate to figure out a business model which was revenue positive, cash flow positive. So we could scale early on in our life. And interestingly, when in 2008, when startup ecosystem started building up in India, I managed to raise seed fund in 2008. That was my first exposure to venture business model and venture funding. I had a good run for 10 years during my entrepreneurial venture. There were a lot of ups and downs. Uh, there were a lot of learnings which I can share separately if needed. But the crux is that, like in those 10 years of my journey, I learned to build how to build a company and a business model which is more enduring in nature. Uh, and in 2016, I exited my company by selling to one of the leading edtech privately held company in India. And interestingly, this what happened during my journey of startup. Uh, since I started very early on in my career when the concept of entrepreneurship was not popular, so I took help of a lot of my juniors from IIT Bombay when I was bootstrapping. Like someone did my website development, someone did some sort of collateral development for me, someone helped me for doing some sort of temporary marketing and sales and coding. So all those my juniors or juniors of juniors who helped directly or indirectly during my early days, and during 2012 when the whole ecosystem got really more matured and a lot of companies started coming up, and when those people started their own venture, like the juniors who helped me, i I started mentoring them, and and angel investing. I did angel investment in some of them, and basically that gave me exposure to another side which is investing. And interestingly, some of the companies went quite big in short time, and they end up raising series A, series B, series C, series D from VCs. So I got good exposure, and like in fact, unfortunately, I could not raise money for my company like series A, but this was interesting for me to see that a lot of companies which were having zero revenue, they were raising venture capital to the tune of $100 million on zero revenue. So anyway, so basically that gave me another exposure. I did around 20 angel investments during my entrepreneurial journey. And in 2016, when I exited my company, Think Labs, I spent some time thinking what next to be done in the life, and things turned out in some way that I ended up becoming a venture capitalist. And now from last 3 years, I'm partner at India Quotient, and I'm now full-time doing venture investments. India Quotient is an early stage fund. We typically invest $500,000 to $1 million in startups. We are more like a first institutional investor for a company. So probably like when either company who come to us have not raised any single money, or they may have raised angel money from people like you and in their network, and then we invest in them. And I've done around 8 investments so far from India Quotient as at a partner level. Our fund have done definitely many more investments. So that's my background. Like in nutshell, somewhat technology education, like all of you. 10 years of startup building on my own, around 4-5 years of angel investing, and now 3 years of full-time venture investing. So Varuchi, like either we can go to some of the questions which you shared with me initially, or I can maybe, or before that, I have some points to share, which I was thinking when Varuchi asked me about this talk. So I think one thing I would like to tell all of you, who are like some of you, I guess, have started doing angel investments. Some are planning to do angel investments, but so maybe some of you may be pro, but the people who are largely new to angel investing, my point will be that first thing, why you want to do that. So like it can be multiple reasons for different people, either a wealth management, like, okay, I want to diversify my wealth into public stock, private stock, and people do investment in gold, people do investment in equity. So either it's the wealth management as a rationale, or it can be either getting exposure to this investing world, startup world. Some of you have maybe some inclination that I want to maybe start, like I have to get into VC, or I want to become an entrepreneur. So better I start investing. So whatever. So I think it can be that reason. Another reason can be, it looks cool, right? It's become a talking point when you are having a, like it's like a tea coffee conversation, like, okay, I'm an investor in X company, I'm an investor in Y company. So it can be maybe feeling good about it. So I think figure out a reason, like purpose, why you are doing it. I think that will help you take further steps. If you want to do for coolness, then do 1 or 2 casual investments, no harm. If you want to do wealth management as a reason, then I will say there are few facts about investing, especially the private stock investing. So you have to follow those rules. And if it is more about getting exposure to the startup world or investing world, or maybe you want to become an entrepreneur in future, then do more focused investments. So, so that is very, very important, because most of the time we don't think really well before that why I want to do and why I should do. And because see, when we were doing angel investments, I will tell you, frankly, we didn't thought much about it. I will admit. It's just that a lot of my juniors, when they came, I ended up investing in them because I was knowing them. It was more of a people bet I took, or in some cases I took a market bet, but mostly it was a people bet. But what I've seen, like a lot of people invested along with us. Like we were a bunch of few people from IIT Bombay who started this group called Powai Lake Angel, and we were investing. Very soon we became a very popular group among our friends. But a lot of people who came seeing us investing, they just do 1 or 2 investment, and they were afraid of like seeing the write-offs which were happening. So I'm saying you have to be sure that why you are doing, and then it will be more helpful for you to do justice to it. So think well before it. One another, like I have some few points as a disclaimer which everyone should know before maybe we go more deeper. See, there's a 90% chance that you will lose money in angel investing. 90-95% is a fair degree of chance that you will lose complete money. With that clarity, you should think about investing. It looks cool. You put a lot of logic. You discuss about valuation. You'll think about a lot of things, but be prepared that it's not like public market investing. It just erode. The capital goes for zero. You don't get single penny. 90-95% cases. This is very clear. So be prepared for that as an outcome. If you are thinking as a serious private investing, if you are thinking from wealth management point of view, then go by portfolio approach. What do I mean by portfolio? Do at least 8 to 10 investments over a period of maybe 3 to 5 years or 2 to 3 years or 2 to 4 years. Unless and until you do a portfolio, you can't make any money. You have to be very lucky to maybe your first investment made a lot of money for you and then you didn't invest in any other company. Those are very few cases. Like I know around directly or indirectly easily 100 to 120 angel investors with whom we worked during our Powai Lake Angel days. Except 3-4 of us or maybe 5-6 of our friends, apart from that, none of them made the money. And most of them thought that like they were cheated or they were like unhappy that how does this is possible at all. But most of them, those who lost money, they never built a portfolio. They just did 2 or 3 investments or 1 or 2 investments. You have to be infinitely lucky to make return out of just 1 or 2 investments. But so ideally you have to go for portfolio approach. If you actually want to do a serious angel investing, either for wealth accumulation, or you want to really learn about investing in a private company.
Hello.
Yeah. Someone wants to ask a question? Fine. Let's carry on. So another thing, like, I don't know how many of you have heard about this concept of power law in VC world. Like in simple words, power law means out of all the companies where you invest, only 1 or 2 companies, like very few companies will give you the maximum return. Like it's a business of home run, and like the winners are so big that they make sure that your returns are great and you end up losing money in most of the companies. So like the returns are concentrated in very few number of companies. I feel the same is applicable at angel investing also. And that's the reason you need to diversify and you have to build a portfolio of private companies. And also, given the power law in nature, if you find a winner company, if you reinvest more in that company rather than encashing, there's a probability that you will actually make a lot of money. So people who make tons of money in venture world or angel investing are the ones who invest more in their winners. And this is one of the mistakes I did. I didn't knew anything about power law concept, and I did 5, 7, 10 investments. And like later on, very late in the life, I realized that maybe I will lose a lot of money. So I started encashing money from my winner company. And later on, I realized that was a wrong decision I took. Ideally, I should have stayed put in the winners and maybe not care about the losers. So power law is very, very important concept. Maybe again, we can talk later if needed, but that does exist in angel investing if you are doing a serious angel investing. Another thing, start small. Like don't be in whatever wealth you have, whatever money allocation you have done, still you break it down. And I will say, put small check in many companies, build a portfolio, and basically if you find a winner, then reinvest more in that company, but don't go all in. Like I know there's a temptation that, okay, I can write $25,000 check, I can write $10,000 check, or I can write 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs. Whatever you can write, still write less than that, but try to write multiple checks. And so and nowadays there are a lot of platforms. Like obviously you have this group of people in like-minded people and relevant people whom you know. But you can go to AngelList, you can go to any other platform. But wherever you go, you have to follow this practice of like building a portfolio. So that's my another advice. Yeah, so these were the few points which I thought I will share in the beginning. I have few questions from Varuchi which I can answer them right now, and then we can go to one-on-one questions from everyone. What do you think, Varuchi? Should I go with? Can't hear you.
Yeah, Gagan. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, maybe you can take those questions which I sent you from the group, and then we can take further more questions if time permits.
So one thing I would like to share, like obviously my angel investment track record is not so great, but still I can give you some data point for you to have handy. I did 20 angel investments. 8 of them gave me the positive return. When I say positive return, I will say that I got like more than 1x of my capital, or 1x or more than 1x. Out of those 8, 4 of them gave me more than 5x of my invested capital. Highest so far is around 15x. And this is like portfolio is all average 5-year-old. And I'm sitting on, at this point in time, 2.7x on my invested capital. So that's my track record as at this point in time. So I've seen like
over what period of time?
5 years, average 5 years.
When you are saying 2.7x, this is from the start of your investment, right? So what is the starting period?
No, so what I'm saying is like some company I might be 3-year-old and some companies I may be 7-year-old. So average holding period is 5 years.
Okay.
Okay, so average holding period, I'm saying 5 years. I did my first investment in 2012-13. So it's like 7-8 years. And I did my last investment in 2016-17. Then I stopped doing angel investing because as a part of our fund, we can't do. But yeah, if you ask my partner at India Quotient, Anand, he did 3 investments.
Okay.
And he made around 25x so far.
Wow.
So I will say he was lucky, and out of those 3 investment, one brings 99% of his return. So basically,
is that lending card?
No, not lending card. It's a company called Rebel Foods, Fasos. Those who are in Bombay and Bangalore
Fasos,
will know.
okay.
Yeah, the Fasos was his angel investment, and like he went all on. So I have invested around $200,000 total in 20 companies. Anand has invested $150,000 in one company, and then remaining another maybe 25,000 in another 2 companies. So anyway, he was lucky there that the company where he invested the maximum sum, he got the highest multiple also. So anyway, so those, but if you go on average.
Hey Gagan.
Yeah.
Hey Gagan, this is Alkesh from Boston. This is good. Can you talk about when you made money in your investments? What was the exit strategy? Was it like an acquisition by another private company of similar peer size, or like just talk about the exit? What happened?
I will cover that in later point, Alkesh. I have this question by Varuchi. I will cover that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would advise that Gagan first take the questions which were posted in the group, personally to me or within the group, and then we can, if time permits, we can take other questions.
Yeah, there will be a lot of time. Those questions I have prepared a crisp answer for the question, so will not take more time. I will take maybe maximum 10 minutes for all the questions which Varuchi has shared with me. So anyway, so coming back, the first question was, which was my first investment and what was my goal and factor that I considered before investing. So my first investment was housing.com, and it was like my first investment itself went to like from zero to almost raising 100 million in 18 months. So it was a super sexy company, and like it went from that stage to nowhere in another 12 months from that period. So like in 2.5 years, that company almost vanished. Still, we were lucky to make 6x from housing.com, because when it got acquired, we made some money. But why I invested in housing? Frankly, because of the sheer vision by Rahul. A lot of people have a different feeling about Rahul, but I have a different view on this guy. At least this guy was, in my words, he was like a Elon Musk or a lot of visionary people we see these days. And I think his thought around like completely changing a new type of UI UX for showing the rental properties, or changing the experience in terms of when you go for house renting, the whole experience was broken, and those thoughts. So frankly, when you do angel investing, generally either you have some understanding about a market, or because of your professional experience, or your personal expertise. So that's why either you invest in that market, or generally you end up investing because you know that founder, and you have some comfort around that founder, or maybe you have enough data around getting comfort on the founder. So it's either a founder bet or a market bet. Apart from these two, nothing else work in angel investing. This is very clear. And there's a lot of debate. Does market win or founders win? A lot of VCs brag that it's a founder win, and because it looks good also. And actually founder does matter. Some people, like if you ask me, I feel market wins. We have our own view. We think that if market is great, a bad founder can also bring a decent enough outcome. But again, there's no, like you can find a lot of debate on the market, but it's a market or a founder. Those are the always key factors. Don't try to judge on business model, execution strategy. At early stage, you can't predict that. Most of the companies change their business model, so there's no point in predicting and judging based on that. If you like the market, that you think that this is a large market in your assessment. Again, on market also, a lot of people go wrong. We all know that this professor went wrong in calculating the Uber time. But still, whatever you can take your judgment on markets. It's a market or a team bet. And that is what I took on my first investment. It was more of a founder bet. I had less understanding about real estate market, but I could echo with the problem that the experience is broken. But I was amazed by what Rahul used to think and dream, and the first version of the product was amazing. And that's why I ended up investing in that company. There was a question on what is the documentation to be done to close an investment. I think these are standard document. At least it's a term sheet and a legal document, SHA document, which you sign. These are pretty standard, available in the market. Frankly, those are like those to be done to make sure that the things are written and crystal clear. But at least in India, there's less value around it. Like it's a way to basically have a contractual obligation. But what is important is that like you need to have a shares in that company. You should have a share certificate. That's it.
Glenn, this is Pranav here. So on your previous point about founder versus the market, given this current COVID times, when the market is not doing good, and the founders are also struggling hard to raise capital based on the previous credibility, I mean, what should be your guidance? I mean, given it's very uncertain out there.
So, Pranav, I will still say, see, this is a temporary phenomena. Okay, so I think the same rule will still apply. Whether obviously you will not invest in, say, a travel company right now, because at least travel will take at least 18 months to 24 months or maybe more to recover. But And if you get a Zoom type company, you can invest right now. But suppose you are not you're getting a company which is not getting a tailwind in this current COVID. And if you think that overall this market will grow, you can still invest in that company. So it's still, I will say frankly, most of the VC funds, there are some VC funds who are looking for tailwind sectors right now. But either you look at that as a factor, but I broadly think that for private companies, nothing changes much till the time you are still bullish on a particular market. But yeah, what is more important is that for a startup at which you are investing, first 18 to 24 months are very, very important. So generally, there is no point in investing in a sector where you don't see that something will come up in next 18 months. Like that's why I'm saying travel and other those type of sectors you can avoid. But and also like for you at angel investing, maybe team bet is also very, very important. As I said, like it's a team versus market. So like you have to take a balanced call. If I were you, and if I have a little less clue about the market, at least I will then put my focus on the team bet. Like I will look for a great team to invest in, and I will continue to follow that model. So I will go to the next question. There was another similar question. Was like what typically how long it takes to get a return. So it takes 3 to 5 years minimum for angel investors. So for a VC fund like us, it's typically a 8-year horizon, 7 to 8 year horizon. But for angels, it is 3 to 5 years on the, like nothing before 3 years you should expect. Sometimes 3 years can go to 5 years. And so that's the typical range. Obviously there are cases where you may prefer to stay put for longer period, or maybe the liquidity event doesn't come early. But and as it was asked earlier, I will extend the same question on the same question, that typically for angel investment, the best part is that you get exit, you get a lot of like multiple exit events. So a lot of time when subsequent rounds happen, like Series A, Series B, Series C, if you're very lucky, then during Series A also sometimes a liquidity position is created because the incoming investor want a higher stake in the company, say 20%, and founder is not willing to dilute more than say 16% or 18%. Then maybe the incoming investor will request that, can I buy a secondary block? And generally, if company has an angel investor pool, there can be some investor who are okay to sell it. And typically, this is not a rule, but typically in each round, the investment will multiply from 2 to 3 times. Typically, there are cases where it multiply from 5 to 10 times within each round, but that's the way generally is a common number. So if you have invested in a company and if you are getting a 2 to 3x return in 18 months to like in 6 to 18 months, you may exit. So if you are lucky, then this event comes up within Series A, but typically at Series C, which is from Indian context, it is around, so it's around 25 to $50 million of fundraise, which is like probably a company is getting valued at 150 to $200 million or maybe more than that. So at that point in time, generally there is a good scope of liquidity event coming up. And typically good start, like typically the most of the startup which are like go on to become unicorn status, they reach to that zone in 3 to 5 years time horizon. So that's a good and so generally that is a best way to get return. So angels get exit in the subsequent round, which is a very interesting phenomena for angel investing. That doesn't work for people like us as a venture fund, because we look for bigger returns. But for you, and like we can't exit in between because it creates a signaling effect for an incoming investor. But for you, it doesn't matter. So generally, when incoming investor comes in and asks for a secondary block, typically it gets sold at the same price of a primary valuation, or it gets sold at a secondary valuation. Typically is like 20% discount to the primary round. So between that range, you can make money. So that's the most likely cases. All my returns which I've got so far, apart from housing, most of the other were like more like this secondary event which came up in the company's lifetime. Obviously, so I feel for angels, 70 to 80% probability of exit happens via this secondary sell to a new incoming investor. In 20-30% cases, you may get exit when some strategic sale is happening. I have not seen, I'm sure there will be, but I have not seen any angel investor in my network who got exit during the IPO. And typically IPO will easily take 8 to 10 years minimum. So that's the horizon I will suggest you should plan when you are investing. There were some operational questions in the, like, do you get monthly and quarterly updates as an angel investor? How do I manage my investment portfolio? I think all that, I will say, don't worry about it. Say you as an angel investor, you will not get so much of privilege or so much of access or a founder's bandwidth. And so I will say, don't worry about it, all that. If your founder is sending you monthly or quarterly update, it's good. If it's not sending, I don't think you should care much about it. Like, you can't, by asking him a question, make your return better. If this company is good, this founder will make this company attractive for you to make money. You can't do anything as an angel investor much. That is what I feel. If he comes to you for strategic advice, please share that advice with him. But I think there's no point in worrying so much. As I said, like, focus more on your input, which is investing decisions and all. And then try to remain connected with them to whatever extent founder can give his time and bandwidth to you. So anyway, I will stop here and we can go with the.
Thanks, Gagan. So let me ask certain questions for the benefit of the whole group. Let me go first. So my question is that to make 20 angel investments and 8 VC investments, how many opportunities did you explore? And I mean, so what was your acceptance ratio in both the scenarios, angel and VC?
So frankly, for angels, we were quite naive. Okay, when we were doing like 2012-13, actually the whole concept of angel investing was not so popular. So it was more of ad hoc investment calls which we used to take. But still, I can say maybe 5 to 10% will be a ratio of acceptance.
5
in
to
terms
10.
of, yeah, 5 to 10%. But now if you ask me at a fund, the ratio is single digit. Either it's 1% or less than 1%. Like,
Okay.
if I have to.
And though you did mention a few criteria like large market and team bet, what are the if you can just put some thoughts on how should an angel assess a startup to invest in? What should be the criteria?
So as I said, like, these are the two criteria. Now you can go deeper into this, that what is a large market. So I can tell you, unicorn is a minimum expectation, right, for a VC fund to enter a company. So the definition of large market is 7,000 crore in Indian context, unicorn, right? Now, typically the companies are valued 1-2x to 10x of their revenue, right? Like e-coms are valued at 1 point, horizontal e-coms are valued at 1.5x. Consumer brands are valued from 3 to 5x. Software companies are valued at 8 to 10x. I'm saying these are the average number, not the outlier numbers. So it means that a company at least need to have a 700 crores of revenue to 7,000 or maybe 5,000 crores of revenue, right? Depending on which sector you are evaluating.
Mm-hmm.
So suppose I'm taking a SaaS company, $100 million takes you to a unicorn status. $100 million is 700 crores. now for a company to do a 700 crores of SaaS revenue, maybe in the 7th year or 8th year or 5th year of its existence, at least the available market has to be like a typical norm is that a market leader will have 10% market share, right? It doesn't have more than 10% market share. So available ARR should be a $1 billion ARR. So like suppose $1 billion available market is there, 10% is your company capture, then it comes to $100 million. Suppose it's a consumer brand company, like apparel company. Okay. Then maybe for a company to be a unicorn status, it has to be 3 to 5 times revenue multiple is there. Hi, Loki. So for 3 to 5 times of multiple, you need to have at least $300 million of revenue to $200 million of revenue, right? Now for 200 to $300 million of revenue, then again you multiply, the market has to be at least $5 billion to $3 billion minimum market, right? So the available target market has to be upwards of $1 billion to maybe $10 billion or maybe $20-30 billion. And out of that, if the company is capturing, and what I'm talking here is the company revenue. So basically this is the way you try to figure out market. And this is on a broader level. I'm saying like people go into serviceable, addressable market, and also then it becomes, you have to go more narrow in this, but this is the way you calculate the market size. And that's the way you take a call. Sometimes like we think that there's a large market in Indian context. There are so many users and all, but what will be the revenue? You will think that 1,000 crores is the total available market. Then 1,000 crore, if your company captures 10% of that is 100 crore. If that is the maximum potential, then VCs will not come to it. And if VCs are not investing in those companies, then your exit probability reduces. And maybe I'm biased here, but I will not advise you to invest in the companies where you can expect, where company will bootstrap from 1 crore to maybe 10, 20 crores or 50 crores. And then it will go to like you can definitely make money, but like generally it's rare to get those successes there. So if you look at from a real angel investing model, then you have to look at that whether this company will attract a venture fund or not.
Yeah. Okay. Second question is, so you emphasized a lot on portfolio building. So portfolio building, would you advise, should the person diversify across sectors as well, or should the person even be focused on one specific sector and try to basically do diversification within a sector by investing in all the competitors, something like that?
No, I'm not saying that invest in all the competitors and all, but like I will say don't go so broad. Like you do B2B, you do SaaS, you do brands, you do e-com. Don't go so broad. You can try to pick few, 3, 4, either subsectors and broader sectors. Like some people do only consumer internet. So I will do only consumer investing, or I will do only B2B, or I will do only SaaS. So either pick 1 or 2 large bucket, and within that you can go for 4, 5 sub buckets. So like suppose you are taking SaaS, then I will do few horizontal SaaS companies, few vertical SaaS companies, but you should diversify. You should not. So like if you think that I want to invest in fintech and you keep investing only in fintech or lending companies, I will not advise that. Like in current COVID, all our lending portfolio is hit the most. Given that we invest in lending also, we invest in consumer brands, we invest in SaaS. So we were able to average it out quite well. So I will suggest diversify between 4, 5 sub-sectors.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I would invite other questions now.
Hey, Gagan, I have a question. This is Pranav again. As we invest into these companies, founders have different vehicles via which they actually give the share, right? So right now, what I found is that the companies are not giving the equity right away, because for a startup, they don't know the valuation, and they're giving more like convertible notes or safe notes. Do you have any guidance in terms of what what kind of does it matter basically to go with a convertible note or a safe note or an equity, or they all boil down to the same thing?
See, actually, they all boil down to the same thing. So it actually doesn't matter. What is more important, I will suggest, is that do your diligence in terms of like, are you like, what I've seen that sometimes like you are investing via some network. So you don't have much understanding about who is this guy. So if you are going through a convertible note where you don't have a clarity, I will prefer if just vet it once, that either you know the founder quite well and you are sure that he's not like he will make sure that you have a comfort around the transaction, okay, or go via platform like AngelList or any other platform which you have. So I think in that case there's nothing to worry about it, because in some cases I have heard that people have taken convertible note and they vanished, like after a year you don't know about anything about them. So those are some challenges, but anyway, that practically doesn't matter if the company is not a non-existent, whether you have a share of that company or whether you have a convertible note of that company, your investment is anyway gone.
Yeah. So,
But I will encourage you to, like, if it is possible, go for a normal straight priced round. At least that makes sure that you are entering at a right value also. Because generally the convertible notes are priced discount to the future round. So they sometimes makes your entry quite pricey. From the return perspective, it is not so good. So given an option, I will prefer a priced round over a convertible note.
Okay.
So Gagan, comparing this convertible notes versus versus equity. So what I've seen is that convertible notes come at a 20-30% discount from future round, and you mentioned that the valuation jump between two rounds could be 2 to 3x. So I think, yeah, as you mentioned, a person would lose a lot with convertible notes.
Yeah, but what happens, Joruchi, is that most of the time the people who are asking for convertible note, they think that their round is about to happen in next few months. So they think that I'm already of next round value today.
Okay.
It's just that I'm giving you a discount because you are putting money today before I get an offer. So
Okay.
actually in those cases, so your point is right, that actually in those cases where you think that the company is so interesting or it's so mature that it will secure a bigger round in next 2 months, then maybe go for a convertible note. Then actually there is a justice on the price which you are paying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyone have a question?
Hey Gagan, Vikas this side. So I have a question. So for somebody who's exploring angel investing from the point of view of wealth management, right? So how does newbie start about this? I mean, are there any platforms you would recommend, or does one kind of scouts deals within their network? How does it? What is the right approach for it?
See, frankly, these days I'm not doing so much of angel investing, so I don't know. But I am, whatever limited I know, I'm biased on AngelList. I think AngelList India and AngelList US both have done a credible work, and there's a lot of deal flow is on that platform, and the process is also quite clean and neat. And I don't think there's any harm in paying a 20% carry to the guy who is like giving you a return, right? Who's discovering. So at least one platform, if I have to recommend, is AngelList India or AngelList US. But I'm sure there are many other platforms. That you should try that.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Hi,
Arun,
this.
we can take
Sorry.
a question later. Maybe Arun have a question.
Yeah. So can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. So Gagan, you mentioned people bet versus the market bet. My question is, why not look for both? I know it will be hard, but like in case of housing actually, if you ask me, it was a people and market bet combined. Why should it be exclusive or?
See, you are not lucky most of the time. Trust me, like at India Quotient, most of the investment which we have done so far, our bias is more towards market. And like you might not know, but a lot of people feel that our founders are of India Quotient are not so classy. They are not Stanford, Harvard, or like now. So I think if I get a great founder and also a great market, I will not worry about it. And you are right that maybe you sit tight and wait till the time you get both right. So it's a good thought. It's just that most of the time, generally we get only one.
Okay.
So
Okay, can I ask one more follow-up question?
yes.
So in the portfolio approach, is there like an optimal size? Like that, per investment, it should be in this range.
That's a good question. I will say there is no, that size depends on you, right? How much wealth you have. And like in the sense of allocating to the private investing in the stocks. But I will say, so another mistake which I did, my lowest investment was 2 lakhs rupees, Indian rupees 2 lakhs. And my highest investment was 50 lakhs rupees.
How much?
And the company, 50 lakhs.
Highest was how much?
50.
50, okay.
And the 50 lakhs company got like completely screwed up. Okay. Like that money went to zero. And the company where like I invested 2 lakhs, I got 20x return. And like I gave you the Anand's example, right? My partner's example, that where he invested the maximum, that company went for 50x return. So basically, I will suggest you should invest equally, whatever you are investing. So given a hint, like now if I have to think, if I start doing angel investing, I will do 5 lakhs rupees of investment for all the 10 companies or 15, 20 companies, which I think in the beginning.
So it's more like a dollar cost averaging approach.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you find winner, I will say, try to do your pro rata at least. Okay. And when you say winner, don't go by just winner based on a next round is happening. That I will strongly suggest that judge your winner based on your gut feeling. That I think this company is actually doing good, because the round is happening for various reasons you don't know. So don't judge based on just round is happening. If you believe that, okay, I thought market is right or company is doing right, or maybe it was a founder bet. And if you are still confident about the founder, then keep investing in that company whenever the next round happens.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
Hi, Gagan. This is Kapil here. I was very curious to know how is how are the returns for India Quotient, right? You guys have been investing for 8-9 years now, right? Anand has been running the fund. So what's been the kind of
So Varuchi, you have to stop recording now.
Okay.
experience of the last eight?
Okay, I am pausing recording. I am stopping.